Well, folks, here we are again for the weekly forecast. But before we get to the main forecast, let's take a look at what's happened during this last week. Of course, the big news was the storm system that moved out of the southern plains and then developed a pretty extensive area of severe weather across portions of eastern Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and all of that activity shifted slowly toward the east. Some very significant rainfall fell across some of the regions of Missouri, all the way up into the eastern Corn Belt, where it was very common to see anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2.5 inches of precipitation with some isolated 4-inch totals. For Nebraska, we did get enough energy in the system to develop some pretty significant snowfall across portions of east central and southeast Nebraska, with most areas reporting anywhere from 2 to upwards of 6 inches of snowfall, with the heaviest band from Lincoln all the way over to Nebraska City. Very welcome moisture. We're going to take a lot more of this before we can finally put an end to the drought considerations, at least for this upcoming growing season. Do we have any moisture in the forecast? Not really. It looks like a general warming trend as we progress through this week, and that will be an abrupt change from the very bitter cold temperatures that have been around our state for the last couple of days. So let's take a look at the upper air models and see what we can have in store as we go through this next 7-day period, and I'll draw your attention to the upper air trough that is going to start lifting toward the northeast, and we're going to start to see the swidge slowly build into our region. For eastern Nebraska, we may have a little difficulty with our temperatures the first couple of days as we melt that snowfall, so we may be looking at temperatures confined, especially in northeast Nebraska, into the 30s until we get rid of the snow, particularly to the south, and then we'll see temperatures warm up into the 50s. But overall, as we progress through this weekend, you're going to start to see this trough lifting out and this ridge moving into our region, bringing much warmer air. Nothing significant in terms of weather because most of the activity is going to remain to our north and east. As we get to Monday, what you'll notice is that all that activity is shifting well up into the northeast, very benign conditions across the center part of the country, and that continues into the day Tuesday as we see a very big ridge starting to build in and bring in some very warm temperatures to western Nebraska, with the main activity primarily over the eastern Corn Belt. Now, as we get into Wednesday, we'll notice there's another system that's going to try and move its way from the northern plains. It's going to dive toward the Great Lakes. Some of that energy might brush northeastern Nebraska, but overall, we're not expecting any precipitation for the vast majority of the state. And we can see that on Wednesday as that system rapidly moves toward the Great Lakes, and we see a little bit of ridging behind it. Should bring a little boost in temperatures, but we'll also notice there's a big trough moving in the western United States that will have an impact on our weather in the out forecast. And by Friday, that is in the southwest, so we're going to see a southwesterly flow aloft, and that's going to bring considerably warmer temperatures back into the southern and central plains. In terms of the temperatures, across the northeast, we're looking at very cool temperatures with a gradual warm up as we get into the midweek. Now, this might be underdone in terms of the temperatures. If we get rid of the snow cover quicker, we'll add about 5 degrees to temperatures. The real warming is going to be out west, where we're going to easily be in the 50s, and for eastern and southern Nebraska, we'll be into the mid to upper 40s. Now, as we look to the 8 to 14-day forecast, takes us from next Thursday to the following Tuesday, it does show above normal temperatures. It depends on how quickly this storm system moves out, but as in terms of precipitation, I think we're going to be much more aggressive with precipitation, as all indications are a fairly significant storm will fall into late next weekend.